Niner Sickness podcast show. How's everybody doing on a midweek session? Hopefully, my co-host will come on here with me and not allow me to be by myself. But if not, then we'll be fine. We'll be talking about our San Francisco 49ers. We'll be talking about some changes that has been made already to our 49ers. As you guys already know, there has been a few changes to the 49ers roster. We're going to talk about that and more. But first, if you'll be kind enough to support us by following us on YouTube, hit the like channel, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and also the notification bell so that you will be notified each and every time we go live here on YouTube. You guys are amazing. We appreciate each and every one of you. Here we bring you all 49er context. We talk about our 49ers. We break things down for you, not like ESPN or none of that stuff where all they do is talk negative. Here we tell you the truth, but we talk positive about our 49ers. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, remember, support us on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, and follow us on Instagram. We truly appreciate you. I'm going to be, let me put this in a couple of different social medias, and we'll get this party started. Hey, Christopher, welcome to the show, brother. Welcome to the show. Let me lower the volume on this. How's everybody doing? Welcome. Let me just share this real quick. Let me share this. Share there. We're going to share, so we're going to go. So I hope everybody's having a good time, man. Let me just share this again. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Give me a second, guys. Hopefully we can bring some people in here and get this party started, man. Talk some football. Hopefully some of the guys, the Boston Hater, Florida Mike, Chemo, or Jason. Let's see if they come in. What's up, Ortiz? Ismael Ortiz. Welcome to the Niner Sickness podcast show, brother. Much appreciated. Okay, so I put it in a couple of social medias. It all should be good, ready to rock and roll. How's everybody doing? Hope you guys are doing and having a great time, enjoying yourselves. I hope you guys have been safe, taking care of yourselves, being out there, taking care of yourselves, not putting yourself or your family in danger. I hope you guys have been taking care. I appreciate that. I got one of my boys, the Boston Hater, just joined. Let me bring him up 1 minute, please. Let me bring in my boy, the Boston Hater himself. What's up, Boston Hater? How you doing, brother?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. Good to see you on here, man. We're just about to start talking about a little bit about the 49ers, about Sheldon Day. As you already know, he is heading to go hang out with his buddy, DeForest Buckner, with the Indianapolis Colts. What do you guys think about that?
Whatever.
He wasn't really a big.
He was actually just a stopgap because of injury. He actually, when we were healthy, was getting no playing time, and assuming we were healthy, he would probably go back to that anyway. So he's good for depth, but all in all, if we can stay healthy on the defensive line, we're not going to really miss him.
Yeah, that's so true. I've been and there's a lot of things we're going to be talking about tonight, but I've been kind of just reading around, looking around for the possibilities of picking up certain players with that 13 overall pick. And one of the kids that I've been falling in love as I've been watching more and more. Hey, Corey Davis, welcome to the Niners Sickness podcast show. Welcome. Has been that kid out of South Carolina, defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw.
Really?
I don't know if you watched tape on him or not, but he reminds me a lot of DeForest Buckner. He's considered the second best defensive tackle in the draft, right
He
behind
is.
the kid from Auburn.
Yeah, that's the
And
guy I like.
from
Brown.
Auburn, yeah, Brown.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to get past the top 10.
I don't
Personally,
either, but you never know. Seen stranger things.
true. Okay, we have our boy Kimo. Let me bring him in. Give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
The gang is coming in. I love it. Let me tell him. Kimo, how you doing, brother? If you can turn that background noise a little bit down a little bit, I would appreciate it.
All right, I took care of it, brother. Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
I'm doing good. So interesting week going on, picking up a couple of guys. Nothing expensive, I don't think, but pretty good pickups.
Yeah, I don't think the Niners are going to go in the heavy side of financial. I think their money they're going to put it towards Kittle, if anything. So it's going to be more of the second wave tier type of signings as they have been doing personally. But right before you jumped on, I was talking to Boston Hayden and was telling them about possible pickups at 13, and a lot of people have been saying wide receiver. A lot of people have been falling in love with the wide receiver, which if one of the top 3 receivers are there, it wouldn't be a bad pickup. But I was telling him that kid from Auburn, Derek Brown, most likely won't be there. He probably be taken in the top 10. But the other defensive tackle, which is considered the second best defensive tackle in the draft from South Carolina, Javon Kinlaw, is a nice kid. I've been watching a lot of film on him. I watched a couple of South Carolina games because you can't really go too much by the highlights. But I watched a few games myself, and the kid is pretty special. He will be nice to plug in and play in the absence of Buckner, especially now that we lost Sheldon Day to the Colts.
Day.
Yeah, I mean, he was. I never liked him. He was just a body. But we're down to Solomon Thomas and DJ Jones in that spot, and Solomon Thomas at this point seems to be a bust. And DJ Jones, as good as he could be, he's always hurt. So we definitely have to put somebody in there to help. But I want to get your guys' thoughts on that.
Depends on who's around, bro. That's
Yeah.
the bottom line. Depends on who's around. He's not. I mean, he's good, but he's not high on my list. Like, for instance, if like Jarek Wills, the offensive tackle from Alabama, was around, and you're talking about him, I'm gonna say no. If you're talking about C.J. Henderson, the cornerback from Florida, or perhaps maybe even Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker, I might choose over him. He's not as high on my list. I mean, it's defensive tackle. Simmons is he can do a lot. He's not just your regular everyday linebacker. He can probably play safety. I wouldn't be surprised, especially, if you were looking for a replacement at the box safety, like replacing Tart, he could probably do that. I don't really, if we traded down, he might be one of our plays. Like if we went to 16, 17, 18, somewhere up in that range, and he was hanging around then, perhaps. But I have a feeling that there are other guys to choose from that would probably be, in my opinion, better choices.
Okay, now I agree with you. Although C.J. Henderson out of Florida State he's considered the second
Florida
best.
State, man. That's Florida.
I'm not Florida State. I'm talking about But he's considered to be the second best corner. But one thing I like about him is he had no interceptions whatsoever, not even one the whole season in 2019. So I don't know. I don't know about picking up a corner that high unless it's that kid that from Ohio State, That kid is that kid is special.
You know,
And
if we were, you know that LSU kid actually looks better than him. He looks better than everybody. They're just giving Okuda all the kudos because didn't Fulton had some off the field issues, but when I see Fulton like against Ruggs, against Judy, that dude is special.
No, he is. Yeah. And Simmons, believe it or not, could be a possibility. I mean, a lot of people say, "Well, he's not going to get out of the top 10." But if you think about it for a second, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are going to be going. There's going to be a lot of tackles that are going to be taken up there. You got that kid from Ohio State that we just talked about, the corner, that's going to be taken. So the realm of the possibility of Simmons falling to 13 doesn't seem impossible as much. He can, and if he does, I agree. Being that it's him, I definitely would jump on him and take him, even if Judy was available or CeeDee Lamb was available. I would still take Simmons over those two receivers, in my opinion. But if he's not there, and we had to go with a receiver or Javon Kinlaw, I would go with the tackle more than I would with the receiver. But I'm a defensive guy. If you guys already know that. Offense is nice, but I love defense. I like to put all my sweat and blood into the defense. And so I would go there. But Lamb would not be a bad idea. Jerry Jeudy would not be bad. But I don't know about receivers. Receivers usually takes about, a year or two to really develop in a system.
Exactly. And, you know, when I was looking at the tackle, the reason why I brought him up, and there's some others, you know, there's about 3 or 4 good tackles in that bunch. And I know on the last show, I named a bunch of guys. I think I named 10 guys that weren't the 2 quarterbacks, which were, Tua and Burrow and Chase Young. And so I named 10 other guys. I would take all those guys before Kinlaw that I named. So it's impossible, if those 3 guys go before 13, and that's Tua, Burrow, and Chase Young, which I have a hard time seeing any of them getting out of the top 5. Maybe out of the top 3. But one of those guys that I named was going to fall to us. And I just can't. Kinlaw is like, he's kind of an outside looking in guy. I really think we would have to trade down for me to actually look at choosing him. And we wouldn't have to trade down much. But
I don't see.
That's the unique thing about being in that number 13 position, I think, is that there's always that strong possibility. You got so many options. You could either trade down, like you said, Nate, or somebody. There's always that possibility. Somebody you didn't expect could just drop right at 13, right in your lap, and then you just have to determine, is it going to be something valuable for the team? You hope so. Now, if somebody that valuable does fall in, then that question, I guess they'll address it when it comes to it.
Yeah. Right now, I'm looking at an updated. Again, I know this is NFL mock drafts, and that's just all they are is mock draft. But Charles Casserly has Burrows going to the Bengals, has Chase going to the Redskins, has Jeff Okudah, corner, going to the Lions, has Beacon, the offensive tackle, going to the Jets, Tua, quarterback to the Dolphins, Herbert, quarterback to the Chargers, and then Derek Brown going to the Panthers, and they have the Javon Kinlaw going 8 to the Cardinals.
That's setting us up even better.
Yeah. But you know who they
pay attention to that 8th pick, though.
If those guys were to go that way, we have a ton of dudes that have the possibility of falling our way.
Keep an eye on the 8th pick, though. That's going to be interesting, I think. I don't know exactly what will happen, but something tells me that's where things will kind of get interesting before it gets to 13. So keep an eye on that 8th pick, and yes, there is a reason why I'm saying it.
No,
You know,
no. With that said, though, Kimo, I thought I don't think the Cardinals are dumb enough to go receiver. I know they may want to pair up someone
Absolutely
like
not.
Jerry with
Hey, who did they have them in that mock?
Cardinals.
Yeah.
Kinlaw.
Okay, yeah.
But
All right.
and then
Anything
after,
but receiver makes sense. Receiver
yeah,
or quarterback makes sense.
actually,
I would think O-line. I
yes,
would. Yeah.
that's what I was saying. They need a tackle.
They need a whole offensive line.
Well, yeah,
yes, they do.
they're not going to get it just with number 8, but they need a tackle to to protect the quarterback so they can throw to the receiver they just brought in Hopkins. What's the point of bringing receivers in if you don't have the time to throw it at them? So, but according to this guy, Simmons, which unfortunately goes to number 9 to the Panthers. I mean, excuse me,
Good choice.
to the Jags, and then they have offensive tackle going to the Browns. They have another.
Was that Wills? Which one?
That's Andrew Thomas.
Oh.
And then they have Wills going to the Jets. Now, for me, the Jets is going to be interesting. Do they go receiver or do they go tackle, protect their quarterback, or give the quarterback a toy to throw to?
Yeah. They should stick with the offense, though.
So, and then they have the Raiders.
They need a lot of help on offense. Oh,
They have
boy.
Raiders could go receiver.
They're going to go Jerry Jeudy, and then they have us taking CeeDee Lamb at 13.
Hmm.
And then
Okay.
yeah. So I mean, those are just mocks out there, but
Taking CeeDee Lamb and leaving Wills on the board because Wills didn't get picked, did he?
the tackle,
Alabama tackle Wills.
yeah, Wills. He went to the Jets,
Oh, okay.
number 11.
Yeah, you're right, Nate. The Jets need some serious help on offense. I mean, that starts off right, fixing the head of the quarterback for one. I mean, that's just my observation.
Well, you spent all that money on the quarterback and all that draft capital on the quarterback and all that money on a running back. And neither one of them were able to shine because your offensive line was garbage.
Yeah,
So,
right. Absolutely. So, but I think number 8 is where it will be getting interesting because the thing of it is, with that specific team in mind, they have been known to open the door wide open. I mean, they may not be completely, thoughtless, but I just think sometimes this is one of those teams that in the draft that gives favors for the more contending teams that could be picking behind them.
Let me just interact real quick to Kevin Turner asked who is Simmons. We're talking about Isaiah Simmons, a linebacker for my Clemson Tigers. And as a Clemson Tiger fan, I've been watching this kid. He is special. He can play pretty much all over in the backfield. He can play any position that linebacker. You can move him to safety, strong safety. He's a better upgrade than Greenlaw. As much as Greenlaw played good last year.
I'm not gonna go there. I think that he's just like a jack of all trades. He's the only player in the last like 40 years in college football to take 100 defensive snaps at or more at 5 different positions. He lined up as edge rusher more than 100 times. He lined up as a weak side linebacker more than 100 times. He's lined up at safety more than 100 times. He lined up at corner more than 100 times. And he's lined up at, the deep safety and the box safety. He's lined up at both.
Well, that says something right there.
Yeah.
Hybrid written all over.
He's about 230 pounds. He runs a 4.3. He's shifty. He's quick to, he's just, it's hard to explain. It's like you don't see players like him.
No, that's what I call a hybrid. Just so versatile, you could just about virtually put him anywhere in whatever specific.
And I think that his strong suit, if I was to just pick, is to put him in like a safety role like Derwin James and just let him erase things all over the field. I think that would be his best bet.
Yeah.
I don't think that linebacker is even his strong suit for the NFL. I think he would be a box safety that could just be everywhere. When people make mistakes, he cleans them up.
But having to
Your
have
definition of a game changer right there.
Yeah, exactly.
well, just notion of having to have a 53-man roster. If you can have versatile players that can play versatile different positions, it's always a beneficial. So if a linebacker happens to go down, we can plug him in there and he can step in. If not, then he can do his thing as safety. And that's one thing, even though like Turner said, we're good at linebackers. We are set at linebackers. But when you have a kid like Isaiah Simmons, that you're not going to really play him at linebacker. But if God forbid somebody goes down, like we lost Alexander last season, we can put him in there, and he can definitely step up and play.
Understand that we also in free agency picked up a guy that could fill in for
Walker?
a few games and do a solid job.
Yeah. Yes, he can. He could be a real good.
So I would,
and that would really help out, especially
take a guy out of a role like, the role that he would play on this team. I would not take him out of it so quickly. I would rather go to my backups than to move him out of place and put somebody else in. That's my thought.
So if we drafted him, who would take in Tart's place?
Oh yeah, heck yeah, I think so.
Okay, just making clear. Just want to make sure I'm clear for the viewers that are watching. So it's not that he'll be taking over Jimmy's spot. He'll be taking over Tart's spot, playing alongside of Jimmy.
You know what? Really, bottom line, it doesn't matter what you drafted. If you were to draft Grant Delpit, he would take the free safety spot, and Jimmy would move to the strong safety. Tart would be the odd man out regardless because Jimmy's versatile.
Right.
As Simmons would be. So that would be interesting.
But the thing is, Simmons is one of those guys that can crack heads, run sideline to sideline, and make plays. And plays in the backfield, and you're going to want him closer to the line of scrimmage. That's where he can make more of an impact on a game. So that's why I would opt to put him there if I had him on my team.
Yeah, and the possibility of him coming to 13, like I was saying earlier, so many OT, so many teams needing offensive tackles, a lot of teams needing quarterbacks, like 2 quarterbacks. There are 3 quarterbacks are going to go in the top 10. The idea of Isaiah Simmons falling to us at 13 is not really to sit and go, oh my God, that's not going to happen.
No, it's not
a possibility. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, it's not unrealistic. Mm-mm. It's a possibility there not because he's not a good player. He should go on top 5, but because of the needs of the teams that are before us, that's why he can fall down to us at 13. Not because of him, but just because of the teams that are picking out those positions need someone above him of necessity. They need a quarterback. They need a tackle. They're not going to go with Simmons. And I just want to make sure a lot of the viewers understand. If Simmons, it's a good player. He's not going to drop because he's not good. He's going to drop because of this necessity of other teams.
And you got to realize, no matter what a team says, they'll say, "Oh, we take the best player available." Well, to a certain degree, once you get so close, that's kind of BS.
I agree.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, if you have a good quarterback and you see a guard that's excellent, but the quarterback could be your quarterback, you think, for the next 10 years. A quarterback is a higher position of value. A quarterback can change a game more than an offensive guard. So you're going to opt for that quarterback. And, same, like fullback. You're going to take a fullback or you're going to take a wide receiver if you need both. If all things being equal, you take the wide receiver. I mean, who can make more of an impact on the game? Probably the wide receiver.
Hey guys, question. Correct me if I'm wrong. Nate probably would know about this. Going by the status of the positions of the draft, um, top 10, I know there's certain dollar values that those top 10 guys get. Is that pretty much for everything in the first round exclusively, or does that go through all the rounds?
It pretty much is cookie cutter throughout the draft.
Yeah. That's honestly, yeah.
Yeah. So when you
Because,
see
you
these
know,
people, when you see these people holding out today, it's laughable because you could get the same deal without an agent. You know, the only thing that really changes from player to player is the guaranteed money, and that's where sometimes teams kind of get shady. The Chargers have a strong history of, screwing that up royally and ticking off their draft picks, and guys are haven't played it down in the NFL and they're holding out on them. So you know that's usually where there's issues. It seems like as time go on here, they're becoming less and less a problem. So but pretty much the total dollar amounts are pretty cookie cutter.
yeah, I figured that because, I'm always now looking at the viability of this guy that they're going to select, and then that goes into the valuability of it and for the team, and then eventually, that's part of my what I call my 3 V's, and I'm looking out for it more than ever. It doesn't matter whether it's the draft, free agency, or whatever it is when it comes to this game.
Yeah, it's true. That salary cap really changed the game.
Yes, it did. It did.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time where Steve Young was a backup quarterback, and he was the 6th highest paid quarterback in the NFL when he first signed that contract.
True that. True that.
You'll never see that again.
No, no way. Not with that. No. That's true. Oh. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh, look what we have here. Tart not going anywhere. Stop it. Well, yes and no. Thing about Tart is all year long, when he was out there, no matter whether he was playing well or not, he was looked upon as the weakest link. Not to mention that this is the last year on his deal. So if you get somebody viable in his place, rest assured he will not be re-signed. Count on that. The money issue is going to stop that. If you get a young person upgrade at that position, Tart is all but gone.
Yeah,
So,
just to comment on your point, Nate, is this: fan base needs to understand. I know that we fall in love with certain players.
Yeah.
As a fan base, we fall in love with certain players, and we want
Sure.
them on our team. But you gotta look. Every player is replaceable.
Yes.
A few are not, in my opinion, like the George Kittles. The possibility of Nick Bosa if he continues the way he did at year one, but money talks, and even though as an organization you want to keep a player that is, look at perfect point. We all love Buckner. Buckner is great, top 3 defensive tackle. People will say, why did the Niners trade him? That's ludicrous. Why would you trade a top 3? Again, he is a top 3. He's a great player, but the money will hurt us.
Yeah, it came to that point.
Yeah,
exactly. It got to a point we couldn't afford him. Great talent by far, but not a game changer, as we've all said and all agreed on. But it just came to the point where that price tag, the team couldn't afford it. Not if they want to continue the consistency of winning and staying viable,
And that's DeForest Buckner that was traded. And not to be disrespectful to no one, but Tart would not even be a second thought if he wanted more money or we can get somebody cheaper. It's just, again, it's not, you can't look at it as a player on your team. You got to look at it and the financial part of it. Sometimes it's not fair, but it'd be nice to keep everybody that we like individually, but we can't, not with the salary cap. It's very hard with the salary cap to keep everybody you like.
It's virtually impossible.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's
still
like if you
looking at.
had
Go
a
ahead.
that's like if you had a secondary of Richard Sherman on one side and Darrell Revis on the other. That's like the impossible right there.
Well,
It's funny you say that because a lot of people want that. They want the Xbox Madden type of team, superstar team.
yeah,
It's not the NBA. You know what I mean.
yeah. You
Where the
can't do that.
the NBA does that. You don't get powerhouses on an NFL team. To be honest with you, the defensive line that we had last year, in 2019, was as close as you can get to a Madden front line, because of all the talent in front. But as you already saw, we lost Buckner because of the money. It's too hard to try to keep really good players. Where you become great is when, like, let's say we draft a corner, and the corner just becomes a superstar from the draft, and then you pair him with Sherman, then you hit the gold. Then you have a young kid playing the quality football superstar, but not the same type of money.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a Rivas and a Sherman on the same team.
That's
Well,
and it doesn't mean it would
can.
work. It
let's
doesn't
put
mean
it
it would
this
work
way.
anyway.
Didn't what's that kid's name that's over there in New England right now? Gilmore.
Gilmore.
Didn't you have Revis and Gilmore? That's pretty darn close.
Yeah, but Gilmore was a rookie.
Gilmore was darn good too.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If you get a prospect from the draft and he turns out to be great, then you're good. But we're talking about two pros already established.
That's impossible to do nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Not with the cap.
Yeah.
Not established pros. And that
if you had
do
them,
then you don't have a good quarterback. You don't have a good receiver.
The rest of your team would be scrubbed.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Their salaries alone would pretty much wipe out most of your 53-man roster.
Perfect example. Look at the Rams. You don't have to look. You don't have to look that far past the West with the Rams. What the Rams did.
Yeah, they had to clean house.
Yeah, because they had
like 8 defensive starters. Just had to release them.
And then start running back
early.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but if you have conversation with Rams fans, 2 years ago I told them, you guys are mortgaging in your future. You guys are going to losing players. They're like, no, our front office knows what they're doing. They're going to keep everybody for years to come. I'm like, you can't.
I was right there with you, listening to that, John.
Remember?
And I was telling them, look, you you can't afford these people, and they're like, oh no, we're going to have $100 million under the cap.
Yes.
You know what? You go ahead and believe that if you want to, but what you're looking at is 2 years ahead.
Yes.
And do you see how many players are going to be signed at that point where you have that $100 million? They had like 19 players that were under contract at that time. If they would have got to that point, but they ended up signing other guys, and more guys were on. But at the time they were talking about it, there was only 19 guys that were going to be under contract 2 years later with that, and they still only had $100 million under the cap. You got to find a way to put 34 more guys on this team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been proven you can put all the great superstars like a Madden Xbox game together, but it doesn't mean that they're going to win. I mean, I can use other teams in other sports when they tried to do this experiment and it didn't work out because either salary capped eventually or it just didn't work out. And that's where complementary comes in. And one thing that I will say about this Niner defense this past year, you could tell one thing. They had some continuity with them, and they complemented each other. Okay. And it even got to where some guys would come in, like a Greenlaw would come in, and he did very well. So, it's not the star always. It's great to have that superstar. I mean, no doubt about it. But when you got complementary players,
the blue collar workers,
or the blue collar guys, or you got your hybrid that just comes out of nowhere, and you got a hybrid type player that comes along and game changers.
Yeah.
And game changers, I don't think they're necessarily superstars right off the bat, but they're right there at the potential of being a superstar and being more or less the MVP of their team, in a sense.
Real quick.
Just feeling, but my opinion. But not
Yeah.
saying I'm right. But I just really like. I've always liked teams where they get players that complement one another. You got somebody that's a blue collar type that doesn't get the attention, say as the superstar of the team, but he's just as effective as the superstar of the team because he's doing his job. And when everybody does their job and plays well, you see the results.
Yeah, that's the part that I agree on. It's just doing your job and not trying to do too much. Not trying to. Sometimes when you get superstars, they try to do too much beyond their job because they're superstars, and they went upstream. Now, some of them can get away with it because they're just that good, but not all of them. But I wanted to ask, Donald had a question, and welcome to the show, Donald. I think Donald's, if I'm not mistaken, this is your first time here. If it isn't, then welcome back. But if it is, welcome to the Niner Sickness podcast show. Now, I'm going to answer it, and I'm going to have the guys answer it as well because they may have their own opinion. His question is, what do you think about moving Sherm to safety? Now, in my opinion, if Pro Focus named him the number one corner, the top corner last year in 2019, why would you want to move him to safety when he's doing quite well at corner? I don't think we need him at safety. I don't think he's able to move or hit. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. He's not able to hit his. I don't think he'll transcend to safety better. I think he'll be weaker at safety than he is a corner, in my opinion. I just don't know how to break it down. But I'll have Nate do it, and then I'll have Timo jump in there.
All right. Two parts to that. In our system, he would be terrible at safety because I know that people talk about putting him on the back end as that single high safety, and you got to cover a lot of ground as a single high safety. And though Sherman's got good instincts, his foot speed is questionable at best. He's not going to be able to cover the ground, and he just doesn't fit. Now, if he was in a cover two type system where it was two safeties up over the top, I think he could flourish in that, but we don't run that, so it's irrelevant. So no, I think that right now he's the best corner definitely on the Niners. So it would be foolish for us to move him because right now we've got four guys at corner that really play.
Yeah.
You've got Akello, you've got Mosley, you've got K-Wan, and you've got Sherm.
Yep.
3 of those 4 guys will not be under contract at the end of next season.
Yeah.
Why? That's something that we really need to take a hard, long look at. So
yeah. I agree with you, Nate, on that one because I just say, just like you did, leave Sherman where he's at. I think he flourishes. He is the best one on the Niners, and I think that he would be at more of a better role. I think he would serve a better purpose, especially if we pick up a rookie or two. Especially thinking about down the road, 3 out of the 4 are going to be the contracts are going to be at that point, and I think him being that guidance that he is right now, I think, why mess with what's not broken? Just leave him where he's at until he really shows significance that he can't do it anymore. Just, if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line. Great question, by the way. Thank you for that question. Let's say we go, regardless of who we pick at 13, moving fast forward, let's say we move to 30, we're at 31 now, we're picking. Let's say there's 2 corners available there to be picked at 31. Would you guys look at corner, especially just by the statement that Nate made a few seconds ago that we're going to have 3 of them free agents that might not come back? What do you guys think about Trevon Diggs, corner from Alabama, if he's there? Or regardless of who's there, would you guys still be willing to trade down and accumulate more picks because we need more picks? Or if a quality corner is there, forget about the picks. Let's go and get a quality corner at 31.
Is it chasing a corner? Is Did we skip on wide receiver earlier? Is Denzel Mims there? There's too many questions to ask.
Let's say we went with CeeDee Lamb at 13.
Eh.
Now, what do we do at 31? Do we definitely trade down, or do we go with a corner to complement on the defensive side?
At
That's a
that
tough
point, you
one
got
right
to
there.
sit back and look at what's available. You can have a corner, you can have, uh, offensive linemen. Especially there's a guy that I think that would be a good guard center combo. And it would be good for him to get drafted in that time, and he might even fall back into the second round somehow. But my thing about it is, it depends on what's available. When you start looking at it, and when you get down to 31, from what I've seen, just based on what I'm looking at, you know, I'm no draft expert, but hey, there's probably about from 28 to about 50. Flip a coin. What do you want? There is no real distinct, anything that distinguishes one guy from another. They're really good. They're not in that upper echelon, but there's a lot of good talent there. So it doesn't really make sense to chase after a corner if you can stay in that realm and maybe get in that realm twice with a trade down. Maybe you can go from 31 to, I don't know, 39 and 48, 39 and 50. Makes sense to drop in
And I
that case.
figure by the time 31 shows up, there's probably going to be a couple of trades. I mean, maybe more than a couple by then. And then it'll be interesting even more, which, it just sticks to that flip the coin theory. But I think the way that the Niners are with 13 and 31, like I said, I think they're in a very good situation where it's unique and very flexible and opens up so many options. You could trade down. You could trade down even more for picks. It really all depends what happens in front of you, because we got a lot of the teams in that top 8. They got a lot of needs, and there's going to be teams behind number 13 that are going to try. I think a few of them are going to try to move up if they can. So that's why I say I like the position that the Niners are in. So this is going to be interesting when the draft does happen.
Agreed. I just want to recognize also a new viewer that I have not seen myself in here. And if you are new, welcome to the Niner Sickness Podcast. Cashew Esparza. If you have been here before and I happen to miss you, I do apologize. Welcome back. But interesting question that he brought up, and I tend not to agree. Unfortunately, Sherman would get hurt if he's. And he says Sherman gets hurt. He's not as fast. I agree with he's not as fast, but he complements that with his mind. He's able to make certain runs that I think that he don't need his speed because he's so bright. Now, going back to the injury part, I think he's well back from that injury. I don't think that injury is any reason to doubt him at anything. And yes, he got burnt at the Super Bowl, but all corners get burnt. Gilmore gets burnt. Everybody gets burnt. I don't care how good you are. The Reeveses, the everyone gets burnt here and there, man. But you got to look at overall his production of all year. He got burned in the Super Bowl, but he wasn't getting burned left and right every game. So you got to look at the whole picture, not just one game or two games, to really define what a player is.
Oh, look what happened in the NFC title game. He got burned one play, but what happened later? Who ended up getting the win? He got burned, and then they tried the same play again. And what happened? He got the interception that ended the game.
Yep.
And that's 2 plays. They did nothing on him all game long.
That's right.
Until that one play.
Yeah. Got to keep that in mind.
They were being dominated thoroughly. They were doing nothing offensively. And then all of a sudden they hit some plays late. I mean, so what?
Yeah. With all due respect, Cashew, we're just giving you our point of view. I understand you're bringing up your statement, but yeah, you got to look at the whole picture. You can't look the whole game. Like Nate said, they weren't going his way, and they happened to go his way once or twice, and he got caught up in one of those. Nobody's perfect, but you got to look at the whole game. I mean, we were doing pretty good on defense until it just got ugly in that fourth quarter. But previously to the 7 minutes left in that fourth quarter, the Niner defense were doing damn well. They were definitely containing, which I don't think he's a bigger quarterback anyway, but that's just my opinion. They were containing them pretty well. So, yeah, so good point, Nate. Good point, Kimo, on that. And then someone, I don't know if it was Mr. Esparza or someone else, question about how our offensive line is going to be, defensive line is going to get hurt. It's going to feel the absence of Buckner, and I'm not going to stay on him too much again, but you guys need to understand, yes, we're definitely going to feel his absence. He's a top 3 or top 5 defensive tackle. But if you had to choose, and I'm talking to all of the Forrest Buckner's people that hate the idea that we had to trade him. I'm asking you guys this question, and you guys don't have to answer it on here. You guys can type it or answer it to yourselves, but be truthful. If you had to choose DeForest Buckner or George Kittle, you can only choose one, not both. Who would you choose? If you Kittle, then I don't want to hear Buckner no more. You know what I mean? Because Kittle,
that wasn't the
changer.
option. That's true, but that's not the option. That's not the way it would have went.
How would it went?
The way it would have went was, this is the question that I pose. Okay. I mean, I hear yours, and yeah, but that's not what
clarify. I'm okay. Clarify it. I'm good.
They would have went this way. Would you rather have DeForest Buckner and a 3rd round compensatory pick?
Oh, I guess we're good.
Or you have Eric Armstead and the 13th overall pick? And that's the question.
Also, and that's a big difference right there.
And also add to that, Nate, you have Eric Armstead at 85 with, 30 guaranteed?
48 is what it comes
guaranteed.
To.
Yeah, 48.
And having a 13 compared to giving Buckner 21 to 60 guaranteed maybe?
Somewhere above that. But I know that in the first 3 years of Armstead's deal, I think he's got 48, and I think Buckner's got like 79 or something like that.
Yeah,
it's almost like a $30 million disparity.
See, that's what people need to really look at, the differences between both players. Don't look at just 91 and 99 and what they did in the field. Look at how it benefits our team going forward. Now, the Niners, if they had to do, I bet you anything, 10 out of 10 that would take Buckner over Armstead, 10 out of 10 if the money was the same. If it was just a choice, they would take Buckner. But it's not just a plain choice.
Let's even think about this. Let's go a step further with that. Let's say the money was exactly the same. Okay. Once again, the question was not about money. The question was about, do you want Armstead and the 13th overall pick, or do you want Buckner and a 3rd round compensatory pick? Yeah. We didn't even bring up the money. I mean, right there, it's like, with our limited draft capital, is probably better to go that way. Even if you were giving him the same exact deal that Armstead got, still probably better to go that way.
Yeah, because you can definitely pick up a quality player at 13 that you are going to get in the 3rd round compensatory.
And it might be several. It might not just be one. I mean, I look at this, and people forget about this. All right, you remember the whole we drafted Solomon Thomas 3rd overall. We had the 2nd overall pick. We switched picks with Chicago and picked up a couple of more picks. Well, we used one of those on Reuben Foster.
Yeah.
We used another one and we drafted the receiver that's in the doghouse, right? Dante Pettis. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, Dante Pettis.
But then the next year we had the year before that was actually we had a second round pick that we gave up to drop back to out of that deal to the Saints. No, it's a third round pick that we gave to the Saints. They drafted Alvin Kamara. We got a second round pick from them. That's how
Yeah.
we got Dante Pettis. Okay. Then the other third round pick we traded that away, and I forget who was drafted behind that, but we moved up to the second to the and we got a second and a fifth. I forget what we did with the second, but I can tell you that the fifth was Dre Greenlaw, and that's because of the Chicago Bears. And
Yeah.
that's really what I was trying to get to. But there was a lot of people that came to us. We failed on a lot of them, but we got Dre Greenlaw. And just for moving down one pick, we ended up with Dre Greenlaw later on.
Yep.
And we picked the guy that we were going to pick anyway, even though it hasn't worked out.
But at least but if you're going to look at something positively, at least we got Greenlaw out of it.
Sure.
On that trade, because if we would have took a Solomon at 2, we wouldn't have had Greenlaw, and we still would have had a bust.
Wouldn't have had to deal with Foster. Wouldn't have had Dante Pettis.
No.
There was a lot of picks that came as a result of that.
But one spot, yeah.
Pettis was looking like a good deal, and lately just kind of went the other way. So this could actually turn into a lot more than just one guy at 13. We'll see what we do with it. If we drop back 4 or 5 spots, who knows how many more picks we could parlay that into that might affect us going down the road. Bottom line, the Buckner trade, to me, that's the kind of trade, the tough trade, that teams that want to build sustaining success can make. Those that are not trying to sustain success, like the Rams did, win now, give up all your draft picks, give a bunch of money to a bunch of free agents, quality free agents, but you didn't get over the hump the year you got to the Super Bowl. And so it just didn't work out for you, because it was pretty much Super Bowl or bust when they did all that.
Yep.
And they thought they could kind of mend the fence and grab Jalen Ramsey and maybe compete and get in last year. Well, it didn't work out. Well, that was trying to swing for the fences again, and it hasn't worked. And now they're low on draft capital, and they had to just dismantle their team. So
they're going to have to start all over again now.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely in a rebuild with their funky logo to go at it. They're definitely in a rebuild. But, yeah, you're right. And I like that point, Nate, that you got to look at ahead. You can't look at the moment. You can't look at this. You got to look at a few years ahead, especially when you have a Super Bowl window. You want to stay creative and able to meet that window and get every opportunity you have to get there and to a Super Bowl. And you can only do that by having to sacrifice a certain players here and there. Again, if the Niners could keep every player, why wouldn't they? Buckner traded wasn't because they just didn't want him. They traded him because they couldn't afford the money that he wanted, which he deserves, by the way. But the Niners just couldn't afford to give him that without hurting other areas within the team. In that perspective, they just couldn't do it, and that's why they traded him. But at least they got a number 13 overall pick out of him. If they would have kept him or franchise tagged him, we probably would have lost him next year. And we would have got nothing in return, maybe a compensatory return.
Well, no.
In 22.
Here's the thing. Next year, he was under his 5th-year option. So, then you could have turned around and franchise tagged him after that. Now, that's the kind of move that teams do that players don't want to play for. Mm-hmm. See, what the Niners did was, okay, they saw the writing on the wall, and they said, yeah, you know what, under the current cap structure and stuff, we really can't keep you. So, they had orchestrated, him talking to other teams about a trade. The contract issue had been started being discussed shortly after the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And so they came up with the compensation, and they had come up with the contract. As soon as it was announced, they already knew what his contract was. They had already figured it out. And this is what players want to see. Well, you bring me in and you treat me well and things go well while I'm here, and then when you see the writing on the wall, you open the door to give me the opportunity to go get my money. Players like and respect that, and that's one of the reasons why when you look at the culture we have built, players want
Yeah.
to play for the 49ers. It was
Yeah.
just 3 years ago that you had to overpay to get somebody in this red and gold. People didn't want to come here.
Even if
They
you had to
weren't
overpay them, they still didn't want to come here, even
No.
being overpaid.
Well, guys, let me ask you a question here. Would we be having this discussion about Buckner and Armstead if we did not have D Ford or Quan Alexander? Guys
If you-
like that?
If you didn't have those guys, you probably would not have went to the Super Bowl, and you wouldn't be having the discussion because you wouldn't have their salaries eating up that cap space. So they would have
Yep.
probably been re-signed and they'd have been here, but we wouldn't have been the team that we are.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yep.
If we, I mean, I like Buckner. I mean, great player, but you know what? I think it's just like you said, Nate. It was a win-win in a way that he got the big contract that he wanted, and the Niners got a little bit of flexibility because I just think that it would have been too much to ask, even as great of a player as he is, it would have been too much to ask for this team to do. And for me to see it, 20 something players from the Super Bowl team are still on this roster. I think that's a great thing right there. I mean, it ain't easy to do, especially with the salary caps and all that. So to keep hanging on to these solid players that got you there. I mean, no disrespect to Buckner, but I just don't think if we don't have D Ford, we don't have Quan Alexander added to this defense, we're not having any discussions about this. We're scratching our heads trying to figure out what happened again.
Well, you gotta remember, we had Bosa. We have Eric Armstead, and we had Buckner for 3 years,
Yeah.
and didn't go anywhere with just them two. We had no
Yeah.
pass rush. We had no
But-
pass rush on the outside.
And that's
And
my
we-
point right there, Beto. We added D Ford, we added Quan Alexander, and we added a few other key players that complemented each other. But those two in particular, I'm just making the point of game changer.
Yeah.
Right there, when we had
I'm
two
not
of
going
them.
to call Quan Alexander a game changer.
Well, okay, you probably don't agree with me. I think he was in a way, but I do realize that D Ford to me was a game changer. So
Yeah, I would
and
agree
that's
with
just
you there. But the thing about Quan Alexander is Quan Alexander was a weak side linebacker and was in the nickel package. I want you to look at what happens this year. Quan Alexander has officially became expendable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're probably
Because
you're right. You're
his
right.
salary
Yeah,
is too high. And why do you think he was so quick to restructure his deal after 1 year?
Yep.
because he probably sees the writing on the wall too. He's probably sees the writing, just like you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a weak side linebacker and a very good one, mind you. But we found out that we got a guy that does everything he does on the field, but he tackles better.
Yep, Fred Warner.
No, not Fred Warner.
Oh, you talking about Greenlaw?
Drake Greenlaw, yes.
Drake Greenlaw.
Yeah. Fred Warner's the middle linebacker.
That's right, yeah.
That's his spot. But, now Quan Alexander is probably going to be a strong side linebacker. That's a lot of money for a strong side linebacker.
We'll see what happens.
That's a guy that doesn't play every down. We go to nickel package and he's off the field.
Right.
That's a part-time player. So
you're right about that.
Yeah. So is he a game changer? Hell, he can't even stay on the field. How's he changing games?
That's right. I have to admit that he was. They talk about the injury prone. That injury bug that hit both him and D Ford, and they ended up coming back.
Worst thing to happen to him. We found out our other guy was better.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I like Quan Alexander, but unfortunately, due to injuries, NFL stands for not for long. At least with a team.
Yeah, you're right.
And a player that is making less money can do as close as what you can do. It's in the
problem.
in the cap era. That's the problem. And again, a lot of people may think, well, Cleon Alexander is a better linebacker, but if you can get the same type of
No, he's
outcomes
not.
from Greenlaw at a fraction of the cost, you will definitely get. And don't be surprised if we don't bring him back to fall. He'll be back in 2020, but don't be surprised if he's still here in 2021. We couldn't move from
He would
him.
have to be traded. He does count a lot against the cap in 21.
Does he?
The way that he's changed his contract, he's pretty much got it locked up.
But he's locked in?
2 years. For the next 2 years, he's good. After that, all bets are off.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing is that we get a great production from him in 2020, and then that'll be good.
And 21, hopefully. And
21.
If he stays around, if they decide to trade him, I'm sure right now he would be more, if he plays well this year, he's more valuable somewhere else than he is here.
Real quick, both of you guys can answer this. I'll have you start, Nate. I'm going to go and get me some coffee real quick. But Sparsa had a question, and I put it up there. Go ahead and read it. You can't read the whole thing because if you guys write a big old question, it doesn't fit on the screen, so it gets cut off. But the main question is in the first sentence anyway. So please give them an answer to that, guys, and I'll be right back.
It says something here to the back.
Can you guys read it?
I see. Should have put a franchise tag on Buckner or Armstead, then follow up with an extension. But with all the real talk, we'll never know. No, disagree. You're only going to sign one of them. And you already had a deal with one of them. And you were already looking to trade the other right after the Super Bowl. So what was the sense in tagging a guy that took first of all, a team-friendly deal that has us only accountable on the hook for, I think it's like $7 million, $6 or $7 million against the cap in 2020. All right. It wasn't that his overall number was like some super bargain. It was the fact that we need the cap relief right now. If you tag him, you're tagging him at $19.3 million. That all counts against the cap. And that's either one of them. So the thing is, you already have the extension with Armstead, so there's no need to tag him. You're already looking to trade Buckner because you're not going to give them both that kind of money. So it doesn't make sense to put a franchise tag on either of them in that respect. So I don't know what you really mean by that. Maybe there's more to this question, but from what I can see and based on that, that's my response.
Well, the only thing I could say is you look at the difference between what Buckner ended up getting, but ended up he's signing for and eventually getting traded for. You just look at that. You just look at the numbers, plain and simple. It just would have been too much to ask. It would have hurt the Niners. It would have really hurt their flexibility. And draft time, we wouldn't be talking about necessarily this because I don't think there would have been much draft credibility for the Niners. That's just my opinion, but I think as much as I'll keep saying it, I like DeForest Buckner. It was a tough thing to do, but it was the best thing to do that I feel was a win-win. He got his big contract, and the Niners got a little bit more flexibility and could go in on a ton of it, really. Yeah, you're right. And I just think that if they didn't do it, it would have been even less. And then, whatever we talk about having to do with the draft, it wouldn't be as impactful as we would have liked it. So,
Chemo, are you familiar with they have a lot of draft charts, and they talk about how much value a certain pick has, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or not, but based on any draft chart you look at, the number 13 pick was worth more than the entire draft that we had if you took 31 and those 5s and those 7s, it was worth more than all of that combined.
Yeah,
You could
I
you could
bet.
not take our current draft without, our previous draft minus 13. Uh, you could have gave that whole draft away, and you still couldn't have got up to 13 with that one, because it's not worth anywhere near what that is. And you could turn 13 into so much if you really wanted to. And
And that's why I like. That's why I like how the Niners ended up with the 13th pick. I really think it was I think it was something, and
yeah,
that's why I say this is going to really be an interesting draft, because what happens in front of that 13th pick is it's gonna really tell the
yeah,
story of what the Niners are going to get to do if they
yeah.
are still at 13, or something comes up, or anything comes up in the draft. I won't be surprised if right now there are teams that are talking to the
Well,
Niners about that 13th pick, and I wouldn't be surprised.
that brings up a question that we had up here earlier. There was a question that, and I can't remember who it was. Put it up there if you recognize this question, one of the viewers. But the question was, I heard that Miami was talking to the Niners about the 13th pick, and then we were going to get the 18th from them, along with a second and a third. I've heard about that. I don't know if there's any real validity to it, but depending on what's on the board when we got to 13, I'm all for that trade.
They want to, actually, real quick, they want to give us their 26th, not their
Well,
18th.
yeah, but the thing is, from what I was hearing when the person was there, we weren't hearing that. Yeah, we were not hearing that. And I went back because I was curious and looked at the I look at draft charts just to see the Jimmy Johnson old draft chart. Usually this kind of holds true to form on most, but it would be undervalued if we took the 26 and their second and their third, and they would be a little overshooting it if they gave us the 18. But the thing is, it's not overshooting by much, and a lot of times when you've got to pick that high, you can get a little bit more. And when you got a quarterback in the mix, sometimes you can get a lot more. So, um, it's going to be up to them. I'm sure that, the Niners are kind of, depending on who's available at 13, dropping to 26 is not a whole lot better than being at 31. So,
No.
No.
I don't see them doing that. 18, that's a different ballgame. It depends on who's there when you get to 13. When you start looking at your board and you see, 5 or 6 guys that you like about the same, so you can get one of your guys at 13 or 18 and it doesn't matter, then you do it.
Mm-hmm.
I like this comment. Welcome, John Aker, to the Niners Sickness podcast show. His question is, or his statement, excuse me, not question, statement. I love Defoe, but it was a brilliant trade. Let's hope that the 13th pick, they can get a receiver they need, or position, I'm assuming. But I like that. He's a Deebo fan. A lot of us are Deebo fans, but the trade, in a sense, brilliant, because we got a 13th overall pick from that. And that, to me, was smart of John Lynch. And I don't know if you guys can echo this or not, but I know a lot of fan bases are a little bit upset. Why, I don't understand, but they're upset because we haven't really signed anybody like we did last year, this year. And they're trying to crucify, I know, but they're trying to crucify John Lynch as being a terrible GM. And the contrary, because he's not really signing nobody, he's an excellent GM, in my opinion. Because let's not go that far. I understand your point, but I respect our viewers and the fan base, the Niner fan base, that have their opinion.
I'll tell you where I'm coming from with this. All right, you were a Super Bowl runner-up. You were 6 minutes away from actually winning the Super Bowl. Now, you brought back, is it 19 or 18 of the 22 starters that went to the Super Bowl. And you have a ton of draft capital. Why in the world would you want to fix something that's not broken? You're going to basically add to what you already had. You're going to lose a little bit in pass rush, and we got to sit back and wait and see where the gains are going to come from. Are we going to have a better offensive line? Are we going to have a better receiving core? What's going to improve? Maybe multiple things will improve with the way that we've got draft capital now. So let's just sit back and wait. They've got a plan. You can see that there's a plan. Now, the plan was to keep as much of that Super Bowl roster intact as possible. And the easiest way to do that was DeForest Buckner had to go. Unfortunately, but it is what it is. And I don't see why people would want to run out and sign, another defensive lineman?
Yeah. Like
$18 million a year
yeah.
corner? That's really not that good, What's that cat's name? He was the top corner in free agency. Yeah, I don't see why you would want to do that because he's not an upgrade. He's really not.
If it ain't broken, you don't need to really much.
So my thing is, don't mess up a good thing.
Yeah.
And we're going to improve based upon our youth. We have a lot of young players that are just going to get better. We're going to get better just by being a year more experienced.
Yes.
And why do you want to mess with that? I will never understand that. I think it's crazy.
I look at the bottom line, fellas, and I just put it this way. John, Lynch has been our GM now for 3 years?
Yep.
3 years, and he got us to the big dance. Okay, went from 4-12 to 13-3.
Yeah. Where's the here's the thing.
Where's the bad?
Also,
where's the bad out of that?
You know what? When you look at the roster that they had when they walked in the door, who's left?
Right now, just Staley.
That's going. One that just Garrett Selleck, Joe Staley, Tart Ward. What's the man? I'm trying to think of his name.
You mean the last player that was here? Eric Armstead.
Armstead. Yeah. Buckner's now gone. He was one of them. Yeah. There were 6. Now you're down to 4.
Yep.
He completely took a 53-man roster, and with 6 players that were here before, he totally turned it over. That's all you kept. 47 of the 53 were new guys in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And
when you do something like that,
a very terrible team to a Super Bowl runner-up.
Yes.
Why do you want to mess with a Super Bowl
7 minutes
team that you just put together?
And why you want to give him hard time? Because he's making viable, valuable, solid choices. And he obviously knows what he's doing. They've got a team of people that are advising him. It's not like he's just sitting there and deciding this. I mean, he's got key people to help him with this. And you know what? Stay tuned if the season does happen. Mike Shanahan is that type of coach. He's got a lot in that playbook that we have yet to see. And I really believe that this year we might see a little bit more, just a little bit, of the versatility of Mike Shanahan. Or I mean, not Mike Shanahan, but Kyle Shanahan, excuse me. But, so why, just like you guys are saying, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. Okay, we know what happened in the Super Bowl. We don't have to keep going through that. We know it. We remember it. We won't forget it. You just keep it, you just stick with what we got. Keep trusting in these guys. They're doing a great job. They know that this is not an Xbox fantasy league. They know that this is NFL football. And they know that you have a certain window and you got to look for solid picks. You got to, they had to change the culture of this team. They had to, and they're getting back into the direction of where this team once was in a different way. And I love what's going on. I mean, tough choices are coming. They happen. But that's the way you have to do it in this league because it isn't like it was 20 or 30 years ago. It's a lot different now,
Oh yeah, much different. You
especially
gotta,
with salary caps and dollar value and all these other numbers that a lot of people that want to see this superstar here or that superstar here, they don't care to look at it. They just see, oh, he's great. Yeah, he can be a great player, but does it mean it's going to work in the system that this team runs? Just like you both said. You can
yeah,
be the greatest thing since sliced bread, but if you can't play the same style of defense or offense that the 49ers play, then what good are you?
yeah.
Really?
People look at names instead of what they can do and how can they play in our system. I understand there's a lot of big names, especially when somebody gets cut or somebody like Gurley got cut. Everybody, let's go after Gurley. We don't need that type of runner. He's a great runner. He is. I'm not taking nothing away from him. But we can look what we did with Mostert. It's because of the system. You put Mostert, and I'm not trying to take nothing away from Mostert. He's a great runner, but you put him in a different system, he may not be as good as he was with us. He's
the
part
point
of
I'm
the
making
system.
right there. And that's the point I'm making.
You guys got to look at it. Everybody has to look at all that. And again, also to backpedal from what Nate and Kim said earlier about when you tear down a roster and you keep only 4 out of the whole 53 roster, teams usually take 4, 5, 6 years to try to bounce back or make the playoffs, and they're out of the first. They make the wild card and they're out in the first game. The Niners came back, and not only did we come back, we came strong. We won. We were the number 1 overseed. We went to the Super Bowl. Yes, we lost it, but we got there in the 3rd season with a young team. And as much as we're going to miss DeForest Buckner, ladies and gentlemen, yes, he was a great player. He's an awesome guy. But we have Nick Bosa. We have Dee Ford. Eric Armstead, 3 great pass rushers. But even if we remove Eric Armstead, we have 2 great pass rushers on either side of the team that we can plug and play someone like DJ Jones or even Armstead. I mean, what's his name? Solomon Thomas. Even if he doesn't, get sacks, but at least he can, stop the run here and there. We can plug in that spot with one player than we can with S rusher. So I'll take Dee Ford and Nick Bosa way above someone as good as DeForest Buckner was at D tackle. Pass rushers are greater in my opinion. But with all that said and done, man, you guys need to understand the Niners front office. They have done a great job. They're doing they know what they're doing. They have a plan. They don't always share it with us, but they have a plan. But trust the process. I mean, what kind of complaints can we give? Other than, we lost Super Bowl, but I don't know about you guys, but man, when was the last time we were in a playoff game from the prior to the Harbaugh? When was the last time we were in the Super Bowl other than 2012? You know what I mean? They brought us to the Super Bowl. We enjoyed a Super Bowl. Again, we played way beyond December.
Count how many head coaches we had prior to this GM and our head coach coming in.
Yeah, and do me a favor, name the superstars that we have on our team. We went to the Super Bowl. Give me a superstar. I mean, give me other than Kittle. Who do we really have that we can say, oh my God, we have all these superstars? We don't. We just have great players doing their job and playing under a system and being great in that system. And we got the productivity that we got from them. So I know a lot of fan bases, they want John Lynch's head, and you're entitled to your own opinion, and I respect that. I think Boston Hater won't respect it as much, but we respect it. But you need to understand, they're there for a reason. They're there for a reason. And they're definitely doing what they need to do. So, yes, we didn't sign that many. Last year, we brought the K1 Alexander. We brought we traded for Dee Ford, but we were not a Super Bowl team last year. Okay, we are a Super Bowl team now, so we don't have the luxury just to bring anybody financially, just to sign anybody. We don't need to sign anybody. We have good players. Why bring players we don't really need? Prior to K1, we needed someone, a linebacker. We needed pass rusher, so we drafted Bosa and we brought in Dee Ford. We have an established team. Why do we have to go after a ludicrous like an OBJ? We don't need him. We don't need that guy they signed back with the Buccaneers. What's his name? Suda, whatever. I can't pronounce his name.
Dominican Sue.
Yeah, I think he signed $8 million for 1 year. There's no way we're going to pay $8 million for him for 1 year, just to take a spot that he don't need to be. Yeah, that's ludicrous. When people got mad that he didn't sign with us and he signed back with the. Why would we want him?
First of all, why do you want that character in your building?
Especially in the locker.
That's the first thing. I'm like, why?
Talk about somebody to disrupt.
When it goes to this, when I listen to this, people talking about, putting another guy, taking another high price free agent and getting this guy, getting that. You know what? Isn't this why the Rams are the way they are today? Why do you want to follow the Ram model? That's what we're trying not to do. The thing we want to do is we want to be consistent at, looking at our roster, looking at our talent, knowing when a guy is getting close to the end of the road, and the old Bill Walsh philosophy. I'd rather let you go a year too early than a year too late.
Yeah.
And if we continuously do that, we will be a good team for years to come.
And making those hard moves that the fan base are not going to like, but they have to do what they got to do.
Growing pain, man.
It's not popular. How long, when they let that defensive end from the Patriots to Arizona go? I'm forgetting his name. He had a bunch of sacks this year too.
Arizona. Oh, Chris Jones.
No, heck no. Chris Jones is a D tackle in Kansas City. Kansas City. Chris Jones is a D tackle in Kansas City. That's not who I'm talking about.
No, doesn't Arizona have somebody by the name of Jones too that is really good?
Not a D tackle, not a D lineman. I'm talking about a defensive end.
Oh,
can't remember.
Played for Arizona State, I think, right?
No, I'm not talking about Terrell Suggs.
No.
I'm talking about the main one that's been there for about 4 or 5 years now. That left.
He left the Patriots, right?
Yeah.
And he got traded. I forget his name, but he's pretty much one of the two key players on their defense, if you want to call it a defense.
And the thing about it is, they let him go, and I'm sure they didn't want to let him go. I mean, he was gonna cost a fortune. They cut him loose, and that team was still able to maintain and was in championship contention and even won a couple Super Bowls after letting him go. But had they kept him, they would have had to get rid of a whole lot of people.
And then that hurts.
Yeah, so they had to make the tough move, and they were able to do it. That's something that we're going to have to be able to do on a consistent basis if we're going to have that long-term success. And
especially
I
with
think Butler was
changing
the first step in the right direction on that.
Hey guys,
Mike,
welcome, Mr. SF Florida Mike to the show. What's up, brother?
Florida Mike, brother.
What's good? What's going on, bros? How y'all doing?
We're doing good.
Thank you for joining us in the show. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, man. So someone made a comment that he goes, I know who's going to answer this question real quick, but he hates Boston. Anyway, they said that you guys haven't noticed that we lost Sheldon Day. Who did we lose?
Huh?
Who did we lose? It's not that we didn't know we lost.
Buckner? Yeah,
he's Sheldon Day's nobody. I mean, I don't know about
Emmanuel
you guys,
Sanders?
but Sheldon Day was, I don't know.
Was that guy on the practice squad?
Just listen, we lost Siddle, Anthony Siddle, and I think that was more of a loss than Sheldon Day was.
Say who?
Well, both of them were okay, but Anthony Siddle was, I think, better player than Sheldon Day, so I don't think Sheldon Day whatsoever.
Sheldon Day started in the Super Bowl.
Doesn't mean yeah. It doesn't mean he's good.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, Sheldon Day is not Everybody's saying hello, Florida Mike. Everybody in the chat is giving you props, brother. Welcoming you to the. But yeah, so that's where we're at. So since you came in late, we were talking about maybe get your perspective. We're talking about GM John Lynch and what Kyle Shanahan's done in 3 years. How they're not getting enough credit, especially because we traded DeForest Buckner, and we haven't signed no big names this offseason that they feel that they're asking for his head. So I wanted, since you just got in here, I just wanted to get your opinion on that. What do you think about your GM and your coach?
Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. In 3 years, we have accomplished more than the last 3 to 4 years post Harbaugh, however many years it was. It felt like an eternity. So we went from losing seasons to being in the Super Bowl. And people, if anyone is calling for the head because of that in 3 years, I mean, I'm not sure what else more you want. We got to the big game. We had an opportunity to win our 6th Lombardi. We came up short to a little bit more experienced of a team and a head coach. We'll be back. We'll not only be back, we'll be contending for years to come. If you're going to box Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch into this 3-year span and DeForest Buckner departure, then you must not be excited about what we're about to acquire soon and how we're building through this draft, because it's the off season's not over. We still have a draft, and you're acting as if DeForest Buck. Here's the funny thing, bro. People act like DeForest Buckner's irreplaceable. Granted, his production's great, but just like we drafted DeForest Buckner, we'll draft another defensive lineman that will come in and do damage. So there's always players out there. I don't really feel like many people are irreplaceable. I mean, you might have a few exceptions to the rule, but that's not the norm. So DeForest Buckner's a great player. He did a lot of great things here. But man, move on, bro. Like I told y'all day one when he left to the Colts, I was over it just as quick as I heard it. It's a business. And this business, you don't get far keeping big contracts like that and sustain longevity. It's simple. So we'll be fine, man. If we draft that kid from Auburn, if he's still on the board, I don't know much about him, but I'm hearing he's a monster. If he's really what he's supposed to be, there you go.
He's gonna be gone.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you know,
he
he
Probably
might,
will be gone by 13. Yeah, you just know.
he'll be gone. He'll be gone, Mike. But there's a kid, and again, I like him, but the kid from
South Carolina.
South Carolina, yeah,
Yeah, I heard about him.
Kinlaw. But let's say Javon Kinlaw comes in, and let's say he starts playing really good, and 2 years from now, he's doing great for us. Our line's still dominant, but we're not paying that huge contract, and we have George Kittle signed in. Then a lot of people are going to be saying, "Oh, that was a genius move." You got to remember, good or bad.
Well, now he's a genius, but he's a bum today, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
let me add something too, man. So, anybody who feels that way and had that perspective, bro, I ask you this, simple as this: if we are taking a dip in production at the defensive unit from an individual player, despite us having multiple players who can give the same production across the board in totality, what are we improving in then? Because if we lost DeForest Buckner, but we retained Jimmy Ward, we're able to get money down the road for George Kittle. We're retaining a lot of other players that are part of this growth in the Super Bowl roster. I'm not understanding, like, how do you not see improvement in that aspect, that we kept most of our team. We didn't do a whole lot of craziness, so therefore there's no need to do a whole lot of craziness and get some big replacement name. We don't need to do that. We simply can draft a productive player and who did the same thing Buckner did.
Yes,
Exactly.
and the thing is, I think that there's this thing that Buckner was so great that, any drop off in production from that particular spot is going to be a nightmare. That's not really true. There's a lot of players that play good ball that aren't DeForest Buckner.
Mm-mm.
And I've preached this for years now, that what you need is not the best player at any position, but you need a guy who can effectively good players that can effectively play that position. They can do what you ask them to do their job, and do it well.
And
You
we
don't.
saw it this year with this defense. They got tested, you know. D Ford getting hurt, Quan getting hurt. Well, Quan was already hurt before he got on the roster and all that. But you know, this defense got tested this past year. I mean, yeah. So people, I think, tend to forget that, and they get all caught up in the in the Xbox and fantasy league thing. But we got complementary players on this defense that worked well together. We added a few key ingredients to it, and the mix is good. Only three losses, and in the regular season. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. Just try to improve from where it went. And like I keep saying, we're going in the right direction. We trust in the process. We got a very good GM that's doing his job right now, helping his coach and the coaching staff get players out there that's going to work. So if people just don't see it, it's like the old saying: the name on the front of the jersey is more important than the name on the back of the jersey. And I don't mean to disrespect any of our great players that we have, but that's true. What's on the front of the jersey, the name that's on the front of the jersey, is more important than the name of the guy on the back of the jersey. Now, I know people ain't going to agree with me with that, but I just go back to all basics of football.
The team's always first. Always. You got to put the team first beyond anything. I'm a 49er fan, first, and then a player secondly. I didn't become a Kansas City fan. I didn't become a Kansas City fan when Joe Montana went to Kansas City. I definitely didn't become a Raider fan when Ronnie Lott went to, or Roger Craig went to the Raiders. I am always going to be
Jerry Rice too.
Fan first and foremost.
When we lost Jerry Rice,
I'm a Boston hater first. Oh.
Hey, and also, man, I'm not. I could pile on all day. If people want to go there, we could also say they said the same thing when Alden Smith was departed from us. They said the same thing when we lost Reuben Foster. Oh, we done in the first round, and then you got Warner coming in. Then you got a guy named Greenlaw who saved the season for us in Week 17 on that play. I mean, see, here's the funny thing: you don't know what we're going to draft. You don't know what these guys are going to be blossoming into. When we lost Reuben Foster, anybody who complained about it, right? How many of them are complaining about Dre Greenlaw now?
They don't even remember Foster.
Okay, where's Reuben Foster right now?
Washington.
So
is he even playing?
No.
Yeah. He's hurt, but he might play. But the point that Mike was, and the interesting point is, you got to get your feelings out of the way for the moment. Yes, we lost Foster. Everybody thought that the world was ending. The Niners were done. We lost a player that even though he's good in Alabama, he hasn't really done crap in the pros. But just because of his name, we're done. But then we bring Cleon Alexander in free agency. We draft a Greenlaw with the 5th round, which we got because of the trade with the Bears to move down one spot. If it wasn't, even though we got Solomon Thomas is so that's a whole different story. But because of that trade, we were able to get Greenlaw, and now nobody remembers Foster. Why? Because of the players we got. And then real quick, and I want you guys to add to this, guys. Prior to the DeForest Buckner trade, we had a certain amount of cap money. We didn't have that many draft picks. We didn't have that much capital. We only had the 31st overall. We didn't have a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We had 2 5ths, 2 6ths, and a 7th, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. What did John Lynch do? Because of that trade, now we got a 13 overall, which we can in turn move that into more picks, or definitely gives us more flexibility in moving that 31st spot. Okay. And we were able to work our money situated by getting some extra money with DeForest Buckner leaving. Everything we signed Jimmy Ward, we signed Eric Armstead, and we were still ahead on cap money. This is what your GM did. Ronald Blair, yes. This is what your GM did. He gave us more capital to work with.
Exactly.
We have more money to sign these kids, and we have none of that prior to coming in. So that's another genius move of moving Buckner. you can't just look at Buckner as the number 99 guy that we all fall in love with. I love the guy, and I wish him the best. But we gotta do what's best for our team first, not individual player just because we like him.
And stay tuned. Stay tuned. There's probably going to be more. There may be a couple more things that happen even before the draft.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine if we trade down from 13 and get, I don't know, get 2 or 3 top of the line players from that move? 3 years from now, we're going to be talking about like what a great move that was. You got to trust the process. You got to
You're going
trust.
to be talking
Exactly.
about how horrible John Lynch is, and we're going to be calling for his head.
Exactly. And so I mean, the truth is you do hit and miss in the draft. Just because you draft high doesn't mean you're going to get quality players to transcend from college to football. We saw that, and a lot of players were definitely seeing that in Solomon Thomas. But it was still genius to move down one spot for the Bears to gain extra picks. And so even though we lost out on Foster and we lost out on Solomon Thomas per se, we got Greenlaw out of it. A little bit, something to hang our hats on. And that was a move that they made. So you got to look at the whole picture and not just look at the obvious, like, Foster's gone. Solomon Thomas is a bust. Well, yeah, that's all true. But don't forget the moves that created the ability to get Dante Pettis, which he's still something which can still work out. But Greenlaw definitely worked out for us. You guys got to look at all that and not just look at the obvious of, we lost Foster or, we lost this or we lost. You got to look at the whole picture and not look at it like somebody told me once, remove your emotions, Beto. And that is so true. That is so true. You do have to remove, but see, you do got to remove your emotions because when you put your emotions in front of you, you don't see it. You're blind. You don't see. But when you remove those emotions, nothing wrong with having emotion. Nothing wrong with being an emotional fan. I'm not saying that, but I'm talking as a fan. You can be emotional as a fan.
Hey, Beto.
Front office, no. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm gonna say this too. I'm probably one of the rare Niner fans that feel this way, but I ain't giving up on Jerry McKinnon. I'm gonna ride with him.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, they restructured his contract. We'll wait. Hopefully he'll do well. I hope that he does. I mean, I feel for the guy that for 2 years he's been injured and hasn't really been able to really show what he briefly did in Minnesota. Not saying that he will, but I'm hoping he does too because he is still on this team. And if it's best for the team, then so be it.
I'm going to say this. This is how I honestly feel, and this is why. Because people forget when we brought him in, he was our go-to guy. He was the number one, guy that we was looking at. And then we had players ascend on the depth chart due to his injury that we didn't see coming out of nowhere like that. Who would have ever known Mostert would have broke out like that? So,
exactly.
And then here's another thing, man. People forget they were saying the same thing about Eric Armstead when he was hurt. He came back this year, had a phenomenal season. Now people love him. They said the same thing about Jimmy Ward when he was hurt. He had a phenomenal year. Now people love him. Just because these guys are injured, does not mean that they don't have the ability to produce when they come back healthy. If Jerry McKinnon gets ability to play the whole year, I'm confident that we're going to see why Kyle Shanahan acquired him. We're going to see why he's restructuring. I'm confident that Jerry McKinnon will probably be our damn top back. So I'm confident in him. I think Jerry McKinnon's going to do his thing. I'm rooting for him.
And the key thing is that he restructured. He really didn't have a choice. Well, he did have a choice, but he was not going to go anywhere else. But the point is that he restructured it, which is smart for him, because he knows the system now. He's been, even though he hasn't played in it, but he knows it for 2 years. And if there's going to be any place that he can demonstrate how good he possibly can be, would be in this system, especially under Kyle Shanahan. Based on the money that by him restructuring, I don't mind keeping him. But I'll be surprised if he makes the 53, myself personally. But if he does, that'll be great. I mean, obviously we brought him for a reason, and we already gave him a bunch of money. You know what I mean? So if we can get something back in return, why not? You know what I mean? If we would have cut him, all that money, how much money did we give him? Nate, you know the money part of it. How much money did we donate to his cause?
A lot.
Oh
Damn.
man.
Damn.
Yeah, but
Yeah, we did. We donated to
as
the
much as
McKinnon
much as
Fund.
people want to talk, Jared McKinnon,
Y'all
finding
got to
that
GoFundMe on Jared McKinnon, bro.
Yeah, the
it'd be
GoFundMe. Yeah,
Oh
it'd be
damn.
Damn,
it'd
talk
be
about
bro.
a scam. You know what I
it'd
mean?
be
You know
But
great
what, man?
if he works out, but we still have right now, unless we cut, there's no clear path to him making this team unless we cut Tevin Coleman. Uh,
or we
so
trade Breida.
well, there's Breida's not being traded. I mean, you put a second round tender on the guy, he's not going anywhere. You know, there's no one gonna pick up that, unless Houston decides to do their thing.
No, real
Because
quick.
they do have two second
Houston.
round
On that
picks.
comment, they put a second tender. Yes, they did. But okay, let's say nobody offers a second tender for him. Can the Niners still trade him anyway for anything?
But here's the thing: if is gonna have a 1 year, $3.2 million deal, in all likelihood, no one is trading for him.
Oh, pick up that not because they signed him for that. They have to pick up that money. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's the
Okay.
deal. And same with Kendrick Bourne, same thing. The reason why they put a second round tender on these guys is because they weren't drafted. And what they really wanted to put was there's what's called a draft round tender on a guy. So like, let's say that there was some productivity from a guy like Dante Pettis. Well, he would be a second round, so that's a bad example. Let's say that it was somebody like, Dre Greenlaw's outperformed heavily, so he wouldn't get that either. Well, anyway, let's say that you had a guy that was drafted in the fourth or fifth round, and he gave you pretty good production, like a Breida or a Bourne. Well, you put a draft round tender on him, and that means that when somebody else opts for that deal, then you would get that round pick in compensation. But the thing about that tender is it was like a $1.2 million as opposed to the second round tender, which is like $3.2 million. So it would have been a lot less, but it just didn't make sense because you got no compensation for them because they were not drafted. So that's why they had to go there.
Okay. Good. Okay. Good knowledge to have. Yeah. That's true. That's good, man. So moving on, because we've been on it for a while, we want to continue just to move the segment from the Buckner situation. Let me ask you guys, you guys that are on here, Nate, Kimo, and Mike, give me two players. Let's say we don't have no trades. Who do you want at 13 and who do you want at 31? Your two top players, stating that we don't trade. I would like to get your. And then the viewers that are watching, if you guys want to share, participate as well, you guys can comment. But at 13 and at 31st, let's say we don't trade, who would you take, in your opinion? We'll start with Nate, and then we'll go to Kimo, and then we'll finish with Mike.
I want Jared Wills, Alabama offensive tackle,
Okay,
and Denzel Mims, wide receiver, Baylor.
I like him. By the way, yeah. Okay, that's
Oh
nice.
wow, that's good.
What about you, Kimo?
I'd probably go the same direction Nate just did. I mean, offensive line, we need to, even though we have a pretty decent one, we need to improve it. We do, especially, and that's the first thing. Take care of the guys on, as Florida Mike likes to say, the guys that are in the trenches right there. We gotta address that. Especially, we gotta protect our investment back there, quarterback, and the other investment, which is the best tight end in all of football. Even though he's going to be doing a lot of the trenches too. But yeah, I like to see, if, depending on, to me, it really depends what falls in our lap by 13. But I'm hoping that we go for the offensive line help, and then 31, if wide receiver available, or maybe we get lucky somewhere. Maybe we trade down or something. I just feel there's going to be a lot of play in this draft this year. Not for really much wide receiver, but
But give me a name. Just no trade on 31. Just give me a name.
Well,
If you don't know the name, just give me the position. That's fine as well.
if position, I would say secondary, but I know there's going to be a lot of wide receivers too. If there's a decent wide receiver, but mostly secondary help if possible.
Oh wow! I'm sorry. Richard Bryan made a comment, and he picked the two players that I want. Wow, right on, Richard. Okay, and so moving on to Mike. Mike, what would your two players be?
Well, Kimo hit the nail on the head when he said, "I love the guys in the trenches, man." I've been saying that for a while. I don't have an individual guy. I just want the best O lineman available at the 13th spot. I don't care who he is. And for the 31st pick, give me the best receiver available. I'll take another playmaker out there at receiver. I feel like we could go secondary too, but I personally want to give this first round some love on the offense because every first round we've been going defense. I don't mind switching it up this year. Last 5 years we've gone D in the first round, first picks, D line. So I say let's switch it up and get some offensive firepower. Get that line, man. Look, if we do it in the trenches, I don't see how we're not going to be a much improved team. Like, you'll see the big difference. I know everybody's thinking Judy and all these guys if they're available at 13, but the reality is, man, we have needs of improvement on the line. Staley is not getting younger. We got to get a replacement soon, and we want to protect Garoppolo better against athletic pass rushers. So it'd be nice to have a bolstered line down there, man. Somebody who's whoever we get, I hope that they can play multiple, like tackle, guard, rotate them in, get experience in both, and then be able to hold it down when they time comes to start full time.
Yes, that's
Well,
good. Yeah, we definitely.
The guy that I put up there for offensive lineman, he can definitely play guard. He would probably be plug and play at right guard, and then he would move outside, stay left, either to right or left tackle, just depending on where they chose to put McGlinchey.
The question is our staff, are they looking at line? I'm sure they are. I'm sure they got like a lot of players they're looking through that, like last couple drafts, especially last year or the year we got McGlinchey. Nobody really saw that coming. So apparently they knew that line was key. So they might go that route again. And if they do, I really wouldn't be mad. I remember some fans were upset. Well, they were kind of upset or confused, and then they kind of settled in. But hey, man, the line. Hey, I'm from down south, bro, and when we play football down here, you know how big that line is, man. We in Florida, we got all these athletes down here, but we get some linemen from other states, and that's what make that speed shine. You know what I'm saying? So build that line up, man.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, we definitely need help offensively. Now the person's gone. I don't know what the other guy, Compton, whatever his name is going to do for us. I wouldn't be upset if we take offensive tackle that we can turn them and use them as a guard while Staley is still with us, and then eventually put him there to take Joe Staley's spot. But as a defensive guy, those that know me, I love defense, and I'm always going to go with defense. Richard Bryan, and I put it up on the screen. Those are the two guys that I was going to pick, and he brought it up. Javon Kinlaw, I like him. Defensive tackle, plug and play, put him in the spot of DeForest Buckner. And then Trevin Diggs out of Alabama, corner. Lengthy corner. I like him, or I like the kid from Clemson. But I'm trying to think of his name, and it's my team. I can't think of him. Number 8. I can't think of him. He's a tall corner too. But those will be my guys. It will be on defensive side. I think, and then we can definitely go offensively with a fifth. Get a couple receivers. But if we do take a tackle, and there's a possibility the tackle could fall to us at 13. I wouldn't be opposed to that. and I know the tackles or guards or offensive line, they're not the sexy picks. They're not. They're not the receivers. For all you fantasy football, and I love fantasy football myself. They're not glorious picks. Like, oh my God, a lineman? Oh my God! But you need them in order to keep your quarterback upright, so that those receivers or the running backs or the tight end that you like can be able to do their job. You need that front line protecting your quarterback. So I will never be opposed to a guard, especially if you get a good one. So look at McClinchy. I was not expecting him when we took him. I was looking at defense. Was I disappointed a little bit just because I wanted defense? But so far he's turned out really good for us. He's taking care of the right side of that side. So as much as they're not palatable, we need him. So if we took a guard or a tackle, I'll be okay with that. But I know we all love receivers. A lot of people love receivers. I know there's what's his name, Ismael Ortiz. May not like me after this, and I know he's a big, he loves receivers, and he wants Judy or he wants Lamb or Riggs, and that's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But there's just so many receivers that may not be that type of caliber. But there's just so many good receivers out there that we can take in the 5th, 6th round that we can use. There's other positions that we can just fill in. Again, if we take Lamb or Judy, I'm not going to be upset. But I'm not opposed to take a receiver that high myself, especially with the development of Deebo Samuel, Kendrick Bourne, staying with us. I think we can add Sims with a 31st, and I think he'll be great for us on our offense. I think he'll be great for us, and he's not going to cost us a 13 overall. So, but. Those are the guys that we will take. Now, let me read a couple of the guys that put up comments here. Ortiz says he'll take where are they? I want to make sure that they participate as well. They said Lamb and Deplete. I can never pronounce his name. The guy from LSU.
That Del Pitt, whatever his name is.
Del Pitt? Is that how you say it? Okay.
You ain't getting both of those.
No, yeah. No, Del Pitt.
You ain't getting both.
No. At this point, what do you guys think? If you guys had to take a corner or a safety, Del Pitt, or let's say a Diggs, or who would you guys rather go with, a safety or a corner? I think isn't a corner more right now more of a need than a safety for us?
Sure, like you said, unless that was Isaiah Simmons, that's a different story.
Oh yeah. That's I'll take him at 13 in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In a heartbeat over a tackle.
You think he'll drop the 13 though?
It's possible.
It's because of the needs of the teams that are up there. You understand? The Bengals are going to take. They're going to take a quarterback. They need a quarterback. They're stupid if they don't. The Redskins.
They're stupid anyway. But go ahead.
Yeah, true. But they're going to take the best pass rusher available, and what's his name? That kid from Ohio State.
Young.
Young. Okay, and then you got Detroit. They need secondary help. They just lost a corner in free agency. Yeah, so they're going to take Kuda. Someone. Okay, and then you got teams like Miami. They're going to take a quarterback and Tua. You got the Chargers that need a quarterback. They're going to take Hobart from Oregon. So these and then you need like the Jets, the the Jets, the what's the other team that needs the Cardinals? They need offensive tackles. Those guys are going to go. And because of those positions going in front of them, why wouldn't it be a possibility of having Isaiah Simmons fall to us at 13? You know what I mean?
He does, yeah, take it.
And you can, like I said, you can use him. He'll be the juice of the defense. I can never pronounce his name correctly, so I'm not even going to try. Juice, yeah, whatever. Anyway,
use check.
Yeah,
use check or 44. Just say 44.
He has grown. He's still overpaid in my opinion, but he has grown on me. a bit. He doesn't flash all the big catches, but what he does between the lines in the trenches is what he's worth, the money that he's getting. But yeah, so Isaiah Simmons will be definitely the number one guy overall. And then I will go with Keenan Law just because I think he's a great player out there that could step in for DeForest Buckner and replace him. But I think receiver, just personally myself, is too risky to take at 13. Because nothing guarantees that those three receivers are going to beat no Jerry Rice type of receivers or Julio Jones or the Hopkins. There's no guarantee to that. Look at Deebo Samuel. Everybody loves Deebo, right? We got him in the second round. We didn't get him in top 13. Everybody loves them, so we can pick someone else like a Deebo to complement Deebo. Maybe not a superstar like Lamb or Judy, but someone that just is complementary to Deebo. That'll be good for our system. Like Kimo said earlier, it's about players fitting in our system. Now, one thing I do like about Jerry Jeudy, if I may add, I think he's one hell of a route runner. That boy the way he cuts and jukes defenders is, I don't know if you guys watch him play for Alabama or not, but that boy, he can give the defender a look like he's going to be running left and then just cut to the right. You know what I mean? And just totally turn the defender around. Watching tape on him, I think that's great. But a lot of people are saying that the Lamb is the overall better polished receiver. And then a lot of people that like Kyle Shanahan's system says even if those two guys are available, that Riggs is more suited for our type of offense than those two other receivers. And he'll most likely be there if anybody else isn't. You know what I mean? So based on the system that we run and based on what Kyle Shanahan likes to do, which of those three receivers, if we had to choose one at 13, would you rather have that would complement the system that is run by Kyle Shanahan? And I pose that question to all three of you.
For me, I would say whoever is the best deep threat is whoever.
Oh, that's Riggs. That's Ruggs. Ruggs, yeah. Henry Ruggs.
I feel like we got a lot of guys that go in the seams in the middle. I mean, like I said, I haven't, in fairness, you guys know me, and if you don't know me, I haven't really watched a lot of college football for my personal reasons. I mean, I'm a Florida State fan, always watching my nose, but everybody else, I don't really care about. So I'm not really sure what these other guys do. But I know our team having a deep threat will help, the other routes go through well. I feel if we can have someone take the top off and make those secondaries stay back, let Kittle do his thing, and let Deebo do his thing, and whoever else step up.
And I believe everybody knows what everybody knows what the Niners going to do on offense. They know where it's at. They know that the bread and butter is that run, and that's going to be the one thing they're going to be focused on. And they're also going to be focused on Deebo, but that run. And in order for that run to continue the way we've seen it this year, that's where, need that line help. Because I love passes, don't get me wrong. I'll just say this. I love the passing game. But you know what? I'm old-fashioned, old school. I love running. I love to see the running back. And so I was so excited this year to see our Niners run the ball the way they did. And I love the running attack. I think it's a lost art in some senses, that, we've got all these intricate passing plays here and all that. But, I'm just old school when it comes to going back to basics, smash mouth, give that running back that football and let him just bull him over and stop him if you can.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. Aloha to Michael Cardoza from Hawaii.
Hey, fellow Hawaiian, hey, shaka.
Like, yeah, what he said. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, there's, like I said, we take a receiver, guys. It wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, if he hits and does well for us. But I just, being defensive type of guy, I just think that it's really crucial for us to fill in that spot, the void left behind by Buckner. I just don't know if I can totally trust DJ Jones. Not that he's not a good player, but because of his injury-prone type. And Solomon Thomas, I was a big advocate for him coming out of Stanford just because I watched Stanford. But the guy just hasn't done anything. He's a bust. And I don't feel comfortable trusting going into a season with those two cats. Only DJ Jones, only because of his health reasons, and Solomon Thomas just. So if we can get someone like, I would love to get Derek Brown from Auburn, but if he doesn't, Simmons, but if those guys are not available, then I would take Kinlaw because I think that his upscale is great. I see what he's done in South Carolina, and I think he can definitely plug in that spot over all those other guys. And we're back to having a dominant front four again, and without the money that we were going to lose on DeForest Buckner. So from that perspective, I like that. I definitely like that. But I wouldn't be opposed to trading down from the 13 and accumulating a couple more picks, especially with Miami Dolphins. If we can get their 18 and get their second and fourth pick in the draft, why not? And there are going to be so many good players there. Kinlaw might even be there at 18. And that'll be even a better pick to get him at 18 than 13. And then we just picked up two other picks. And as you guys already know, Nate explained it, Mike and Kimo can attest to this, that when you get the opportunity to get more picks, it's always great to have capital because you can always turn those into players like Greenlaw, like George Kittle in the 5th rounds. They're out there. You just got to find them. If I want to give any type of credit real quick, I want to give it to our scouting team. We have great scouting teams. Anybody can pick in the 1st round. A lot of people can pick in the 2nd. But when you start picking players that like Kittle and Greenlaw in the 5th rounds, that's all credit to the scouting team doing their job, their due diligence, and handling their business and feeding back to the front office. And that's the respect that I want to give our front office, that we're able to do that. So there are definitely players. I know we're going to get a receiver out there, maybe not in the 13, especially for my boy Ismael Ortiz. If we don't get Judy, or we don't get Ruggs, or if we don't get Lamb, if we can get a receiver out there that complements Debo. And you got to remember, too, we're getting Jalen Hurd back from injury. We still don't know what he's capable of doing. We drafted him last year in the 3rd round. He has upscale. So if he does anything that he did in college, that's going to help us out. And then we got Trent Taylor coming back. So it's not like we don't have receivers. I know we lost Sanders, but it's not like we lost Sanders and we don't have nobody. I don't know about you guys, but Deebo Samuel stepped up quite a bit at the latter part of the season, and he's just going to get better. You know what I mean? He's going to get better. But real quick, towards the end, one thing that I've noticed with the draft, in the mock draft, they have no running backs. I hate to throw a curveball, but I'm going to throw a curveball anyway. They have no running backs going in the 1st round in any mock draft that I've seen. I have not heard that in a long time. Is it because they're not just as good, or are people finding out that running backs truly are a dime a dozen? You can pretty much find them anywhere. Put them in the system, and they'll just work. Do you guys agree with that? That running backs are just a dime a dozen? That unless you have that one special, who's out there right now that is good? What's a good running back out there right now?
I'm sure they got some from the SEC, maybe UGA, somebody
a Christian
like that.
McCaffrey type of running back that is worth the money. But if you don't have a Christian McCaffrey type of running back, do you really need a top running back on your team? Or can you go?
I mean,
that's a good question.
Our team proved that. We have a couple backs that weren't even drafted.
Yeah.
Matt Breida. We got Raheem Mostert. I mean, our best on paper back was Jared McKinnon, but Raheem Mostert took over.
And Wilson.
And Jeff Wilson Jr. Yeah. So I mean, but the bigger impact was from Breida and Mostert. So if you look at what Mostert did as an undrafted free agent, it just goes to show, man. It's all about the system. All of these
Yep.
guys are talented to play in the NFL. It's about can they fit in the system and the scheme. You know what I mean? So if you put for example, since Boston Hader had to depart, man, my heart's out to him. If you put, it's going to be interesting to see how Tom Brady going down to Tampa Bay works because he'll be in a new system. I'm not sold that Tampa Bay is going to be this great, phenomenal team. I'm only using them as an example. So people going to say, oh, it's Tom Brady. I don't care who it is. I mean, he's a great player in his own right. But when you go to another system, especially with him being in the same system forever, and that's what he knows, it's challenging to go to a new system. So, some guys adjust well, some guys don't. But when you're drafting and you're getting players, running back positions are probably less value because the game has changed, man.
Yeah.
Tight end, fullbacks aren't really used as much either. But we use ours. We're probably one of the few teams that do. I mean, there's a fullback. It seems probably on every team, but how many of them really utilize their fullback? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's like, hey, I think the running back position is getting less value because they're getting hurt. They're faster. They're seeing that you can rotate running backs more and use them. You had guys like Todd Gurley, Devonta Freeman, and they get hurt and banged up, and then they have to go to another plan B. So it's kind of like, why get the one top supreme back when you can get two or three backs who give the same production? People got to remember, man, I'm going to drill this into United fans' heads. You got to think production and stop thinking about numbers and fantasy football. If we don't get a top running back, so what? We got to think production. If we get three running backs who do the same damn thing as one in totality, what does it matter? What does it matter if we don't have a 1,000-yard rusher, but if we have three guys who put in almost 1,000 yards and we killing? You know what I'm saying? Who cares? We want to win. So if we get it from three backs, so be it.
Well, that makes me think about Jared McKinnon even more because I always thought when I saw him that 1 year in Minnesota, I thought he was more effective that he could catch the ball, being a running back, but catching that ball, being real versatile. And that's a key thing too, is versatility. We have four running backs right now. Each of them can do different things, and they can do similar things. So it's going to be interesting. We all know what Coach Shanahan will do. And I love the fact that we have this running game. I love the fact that we got Juice as our fullback. I think about some of the great fullbacks that I remember with this team having, a Fred Beasley's, and of course, who can forget Tom Rathman? So, running backs, it just seems like it's, in a way, it's kind of a, it seems like a risk to some of these teams. But I just think with all these new passing schemes, like some teams got the air raid offense. So much for air raid offense. I just think that, you got to have that ground attack. You got to go back to the basics of this game. You ain't going to get those beautiful passes if you ain't establishing the run. So, I would love it. It would make my day if the first round of the draft, a running back just comes out of nowhere, a very good running back maybe, or a solid one. He just comes out of nowhere and some team says, we're going to take you as our number one overall pick. I love it because it completely confuses the whole thing. That's the one thing I like about stuff like this, and that's why I'm excited for the draft. Is not so much of what the mock-up drafts say, but what the unknown, the complete unknown, that big question mark that's sitting in front of everybody right now. All 32 teams, and that's what it's exciting to me. That's why I'll keep saying it. I really think that the Niners was handed something really good, getting that 13th pick, going along with that 31st pick. So, we can't, it's just like Mike said, we can't get stuck on the numbers. We can't get stuck on the fantasy football league. It's the production of the player. And if he works with the system, as we've seen in this game, we've seen guys that get picked in the 5th, 6th, 7th rounds. They're virtual nobodies that, didn't get all the attention, but then they get in the NFL, and what happens? It's a totally different story. It's like you joke, Beto. NFL means not for long. So some of these established guys, they got all the expectations put on them, and then you got these guys like a Terrell Davis or a Tom Brady come out of these later rounds. I know Nate ain't gonna like me mentioning him, but you know that's one of the unique things about this game. Sometimes that guy that you just least expect that can be the later rounds turns around and you help that person, that player become a superstar because you took a chance with him and he worked in your system and he thrived on it and the production showed right there. And that's the thing. And that's why I like what John Lynch is doing. I like what Coach Shanahan is doing. Lynch is giving him the players that he feels that is going to work with his system. Now, is it always going to work that way? We know it's not going to always be that way, but he's giving him the best opportunity so they can both bring a great product out there on the field in the red and the gold.
Yeah, real quick, Kimo, give me a second. Very good points you're making. I'm not going to get into details on this, but please keep our boy Boston Hater Nate in prayer. He had to leave our chat, as you guys saw. He got some bad news, and again, I'm not going to get into specifics. About if he wants to share, he can share. But I just want to lift him up in prayer, man. Keep him and his family in prayer. And I just want to share that with you guys real quick. Sorry about that, Kim. I just wanted to bring that in real quick.
Oh no. We'll keep in prayer for our brother, and I just want to say to the Niner fans out there, Niner Empire. I mean, I know that we all want the best for our team, okay, but I also understand what we got now is the best in my mind. 13-3. I'll keep saying it. 13-3. Those 3 losses, but what? Less than a touchdown? I love the passion that many of the Niner fans do have. They want this guy. They want that. I've heard stories. I've read them. And sometimes I found myself getting caught up in it too. But I also know this. We got, everybody, you really think, and I'm just asking, in your opinion, do you really think that everybody is going to be focused on Kansas City just because they won it?
Correct.
I'm telling you right now, the real target is on the San Francisco 49ers. Because everybody knows how good this team is. And not only that, but how much better our team will be. Now, before you start thinking about getting these superstar players that we don't need or these high-priced free agents, think about that. We are, in a sense, the hunted because everybody knows what this team can do. And they know that this team can do it very well. Don't ever just take it for granted that just because Kansas City won that thing, that they're going to be the ones that they're all going to be trying to compare themselves to, because I'm telling you right now, there are 31 other teams, including the Chiefs. They're going to try to figure out how to stop this run. They're going to try to figure out what more weaknesses there could be on the defense. Now, if that's bragging,
I hope teams do go in with that mindset. My phone is at 2%, by the way, man. But I'm gonna try to chop it up before we before it go out. But I hope teams do come in with that mindset because apparently if a team really comes in thinking that they're gonna have to just stop our bread and butter, which is the run, then they're in for another message.
That's right.
Jimmy Garoppolo had almost 4,000 passing yards. I don't understand why any critic of this team would think that all we do is run. I mean, I don't like using stats. I really don't. But I'm only using stats to paint a picture for you guys who do use stats. So
exactly.
At the end of the day, Garoppolo isn't in totality in the season. He had almost 4,000 passing yards, which means he had to pass the damn football to get there.
You're right.
I mean, if they really come in thinking let's stack the box, all they're gonna do is run. Good, go ahead. That's golden because Jimmy G's gonna go back and he gonna dissect defenses. So we're good, man. Like we're gonna have a balanced offense. At the end of the day, the reality is we're replacing through the draft a possibly a defensive tackle and a receiver if we go that route. So we lost two, and we can replace them in the draft. Move on. No, I'm not worried about nothing.
Me
We good,
neither,
man.
because I love it. I love it. I love the fact that our Niners actually dares all those other teams. They know what we're going to do on offense. Yeah, Garoppolo passed the ball. He passed the ball rather well. He did a great job as far as I'm concerned. But you know what? I always believe our Niners are daring them. I think they dare them. Here's the run. We're going to give it to this guy. Stop it if you can. Because if you don't, there's a guy that's sitting right over there wide open. And if you can't stop that, you ain't getting to that. So
Man,
I always believe.
it's a lot of teams that anticipated our run like Green Bay. It didn't matter. They stacked the box and we still ran over them. So even if they know a run's coming, they got to still stop it. Like I don't. Anybody who's saying that, obviously listen to these talking heads. They're not watching Niner football every game like I'm watching, and they can't
Right.
convince me that we can't. We're a one-dimensional team. Or our bread and butter is running. I don't believe that. I believe we're a balanced team. These talking heads are putting this into people's heads, and then that's it. So, but we're good,
Uh-oh.
man.
Did we lose?
No, we're good. We're good.
My
Okay,
phone's at
well, yeah.
1%.
I just real quick. So we're gonna. I know the battery for Mike is going down. So we've been on here for a while, and it's a great show. We had great topics. Let's go ahead and bring it to a close. As we do that, you guys want to say anything as we close? Because we're going to do another show on Friday, so we can always bring it back up on Friday. But what do you guys want to say in closing? And I'll go ahead and give it to Kimo, and then I'll let Mike do it in case his battery dies.
Mike.
And then
All
we'll
I'm
do
gonna say
it.
is,
And I think his battery just died.
Uh-oh.
Because he froze. Yep. Did he? Yeah, he froze. Mike, you still there? Yeah, he's. Let me see.
Okay.
Yeah, he's gone. Let me see if he's still there. He's still. See if he comes in. No, he's gone. Okay, so. Anyway, go ahead. We'll go ahead and share your thoughts, and then we'll close it up.
Well, you know what? I think tonight's show was a great show, and I'll just reiterate. We love this football team. That's why you started this. That's why we're on this. That's why we talk about the greatest football team in the world and what they do. And Niner fans, I know you guys want the best, but sometimes getting the best doesn't mean that you always get the best that everybody else sees. That's where it gets complimentary players. Now, Beto, Nate, the Boston Hater, Florida Mike, we're on here and we're just giving our opinion. It doesn't mean that we're right. It's just that we see it in one certain way. All four of us do. Sometimes we agree on it, and as tonight's show proved too, there's sometimes we don't agree on it. But we have one thing in agreement. We love this football team. We want this football team to get right back to where they were when they won those 5 in the 80s. We want to win that 6th one, and as many more as that this team can be able to do. We love the direction it's going. We love our GM. He's doing a fabulous job. And if you can't see it, then in my mind, you just don't know football or Niner football. And we got a very good coach. And you know what? He's getting thrown under the bus by many people too. And I think it's unfair. We got a very good coach out there. This is just the 3rd season that he's been our head coach along with our GM. And they got us to the big dance. And I'm looking forward to what they do in the next 3-4 years down the road. So you know what? I'll just say it again. Trust the process. Believe in the process. Remember, the name on the front of the jersey is more important than the name on the back. So I give it right back to you, my brother.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And you're right. I agree 100%. Give me 1 second. There you go. I agree. So we don't always agree on things. We always, we're 4 individuals, Team Jason, that hasn't been on live with us yet. We all have our own opinion. We all have our own thoughts and perspective of what we like to dislike about our team. and we come on here and we are diverse. We don't always agree with one another. We're gonna bring in our opinion. A lot of times we may agree, a lot of times we won't. Boston Hader, as much as I love him, he's a very strong voice individual. He'll speak his mind, and he's very locked in on certain ways of thinking, and that we need that with our show. We have Kimo, we have Florida Mike and myself, and hopefully we'll be meeting Jason as Jason starts coming on the show with us. We all make the show. It's also all about the viewers coming in here, sharing your comments, us replying to your comments, being part of this show. But at the end of the day, whether we agree or disagree on things, one thing, like Kimo said, that we can all agree on is that we all love the best NFL team ever in our San Francisco 49ers. There ain't no other team better than this team. That's why we're here. We're here, and that's why I created this show, and that's why we put this together so that we can bring you, the fan base, something to talk about your team. So, with that said, before I say it good night, I just want to continue to ask you guys to please support us by following us on YouTube, like our channel, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and also the notification bell so that every time we go live on YouTube, you would be notified. We've been going live here on Facebook only because we don't have that many followers on YouTube. We're trying to build followers on YouTube so that we can continue to go live pretty much only on YouTube. But we need you, the viewers, to share the video and have your friends and family who are Niner fans like us on YouTube. So we need your help. If you can do that in return for what we do for you guys, we truly appreciate it, man. But in behalf of myself, Kimo, the Boston Hader, Florida Mike, and Jason, we want to thank you for being with us tonight, for participating. And remember, we'll be back on Friday at 7 p.m., 7:30. We'll let you know. And we'll look forward to talking more 49ers football. Have a wonderful night. God bless. Stay safe. And remember, do your part. Do your part. Stay home if you can, so that we can get back to our normal lives as soon as we can. If we can all do our parts, little by little, we'll get there. And with that said, God bless, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bang, bang, Niner gang. Later.
Bang, bang, Niner gang. Thank you, Kimo. You have a great night.
You too, brother.
I'll let you guys watch a little bit of football, and then I'll call it a night. Little bit of couple plays. All right, guys. Good night. Good night. Good night. Bang, bang. Niner gang. Red and gold until we're all dead and cold.
Amen to that.
Good night.